And welcome back to another CBB Talk with Will Dickinson. We're here on a Monday morning-ish. It's around 10:45. And we got a good episode for you today. We got to recap what's happened over this Saturday. It was an eventful Saturday. It wasn't the greatest Saturday. We did have some movement. We did have a lot of good games, and we had some good Sunday games as well. We had the All-Star events, which the game was kind of lame last night, but Matt McClung won that dunk contest. It was pretty good, pretty good. It was better than the Reese couple last year. It's probably the best one since 2020. But we're here to talk about college basketball, so let's just get into it. Let's start with Saturday. We had Indiana get a big win against Illinois. Illinois had no Terrence Shannon, and they almost won this game. Trace Jackson Davis had 26 and 12. Big game from him. Indiana, you're ranked 18th in in my rankings. I'm guessing you'll be the second highest Big Ten team as the rankings come out. And they got a good win. They did their thing. If Illinois has Terrence Shannon, maybe that's a different night. Matthew Meyer had a very good game. But you know what? He didn't play, and Indiana survives and gets the win. That's a big one for Indiana, who was coming off a loss earlier this week to Northwestern. They get a bounce back win, and they're trying to get that second place in the Big Ten because, yes, Purdue struggled. They're still the overwhelming favorite in there, but keep winning games. Indiana, it came out they were the 13th seed in the first release of the top 16 for the committee, which, that was a very controversial thing. Indiana was 13. That means they were the number 1 4 seed. Honestly, they were one of the teams when my 16 when that came out that they wouldn't even been in it, and they wouldn't be in there. They're my 18th team right now. So, yes, Indiana is playing good basketball. But I think that shows Big Ten bias is real. The Big 12 bias is real, and Indiana still looking strong here. Going into late weeks of February. Virginia, wow. They're struggling right now. They got the win. And now that's 3 straight wins for Virginia where they barely win. Of course, they won that controversial game against Duke. They then barely beat Louisville by 3 or 4. And now they win by 2 at home against Notre Dame. So they're just not playing good basketball right now. The offense isn't getting going. They only won by 2 points, and Notre Dame had a shot at the buzzer to win the game. We need other people to step up. We see that the defensive impact from Reese Beekman is real, but he has to bring more offensive game to the table. He had 11 in this one. Kihei had 15, but no production from the bench tonight. Only 3 points. McNeely struggled, and I really love Isaac McNeely. Didn't have a good game in this one, and Ryan Dunn only got 10 minutes at 0 points. So 3 points off the bench. Struggling for Virginia, and I honestly, as a Virginia fan, I don't see this team making a deep run. I could see us getting eliminated first round. I could see us. The ceiling is the Elite Eight. I see this team as a Sweet 16, around a 32 team, because I think they play to their competition. We see when they play against a team like Houston, they can compete. They've beat a Baylor. They've beat a UCLA. Or not UCLA. They beat a Baylor. They beat an Illinois. They played close against Miami. They beat UNC, and they've beat NC State. So they play to their competition. But when we play these bad teams like Notre Dame in Louisville, they play down to them. And that's what worries me is that they can get upset in the first round because I think Virginia plays to how their competition plays. If they're going against a good team, they're going to just naturally stay in this game. They play close games. But when they play a bad team, and no team in the NCAA tournament's a bad team, they're probably going to be around the 3 seed. They could get upset by a 14. I really do believe that. And if they are a 3 seed, they could play a tough 6 seed in that second round. Let's say that Iowa State's a 6, or a team of that caliber, like not like a UConn could be a 6 seed. I don't know how confident I would be in Virginia winning that game. their offense is not there right now, and maybe they can pick it up going into the ACC tournament. But you still got a game against Carolina next Saturday. That could really just, if you win that game at Carolina, that just cements Carolina as an NIT team, which they probably are already. But we'll see. UConn got a nice win, and Rutgers finally gets back on the win train at Wisconsin. Wisconsin, you're not a tournament team. I can't believe people had that in them in. Is Texas Tech turning their season around and creating a team that could make the NCAA tournament? That is a real discussion right now for Texas Tech. They were ranked coming in the year. They went to Maui and did not play good. But now you're looking at them on a nice little 3-game win streak wins against Kansas State, Texas, and then at West Virginia. They go at Oklahoma on Tuesday and then versus TCU. If they can win 3 of their next 4, they're going to have a real case to make the NCAA tournament, which is amazing to see that against after they had a really bad start. They went on a losing streak of 9 games, I believe, which is just incredible to see how they've bounced back, and now they've won 5 out of their last 7, playing really good basketball. Road wins against LSU and West Virginia, and then they got other wins against Iowa State at home, Kansas State at home, Texas State at home, Texas at home. So those are wins against ranked teams, and they didn't have a good out-of-conference schedule. They beat Louisville, and that's about it. So they didn't do great out of conference at all, and they started Big 12 playoff with 9-10 straight losses. So we'll see where the committee puts them. They're 4-10 in the Big 12, but that's the same record as West Virginia, who people have in the tournament. So, or some people have before the tournament before that last game. So could Texas Tech make it? Yeah, you got to win 3 out of your next 4 though. For the Red Raiders to have an improbable comeback to make the tournament. So another team that picked up a huge win was Kentucky. They pull off a season sweep against Tennessee, and that's a big one for Kentucky. I think that puts them in the tournament. I think Kentucky will make the NCAA tournament. And when we did that podcast about UNC and Kentucky struggling, I can't remember what I said. Did I say Kentucky wasn't going to make it and Carolina was? I feel like that's what I said, which now that's looking like a terrible thing because it looks like Kentucky will make the tournament and UNC won't. But hey, Casey Wallace had a good game, and of course they didn't have Xavier Wheeler or CJ Frederick in this one. And yes, Tennessee didn't have Josiah Jordan James in this one. That will hurt that team there. They were missing someone else, but my mind's just coming blank right now who they were missing. Oh, they were missing the freshman. What's his name? Julian Phillips. They're missing Julian Phillips too. So both teams are a little undermanned, but Tennessee showed that they're really inconsistent. 54 points is not going to get the job done. Vescovy 17 and Meshack 16. The rest of the team combined for 21 points. So two players had more than half the team's points there. And Casey Lawson and Sheboy did their thing. Sheboy struggles from the field though, but he gets to the line. 10 out of 11 free throws. They foul him a lot. And not a lot of bench production, which is fair from Kentucky. You're missing 2 players that play big minutes, but they got the job done. They pull off a season sweep against Tennessee, and Kentucky will make the NCAA tournament this year. I'm pretty confident in that. Tennessee, I'm not a big fan of. They got the win against Alabama this week at home. They're so inconsistent. I dropped them to 16th, which that might be a little kind for Tennessee. Right now, Tennessee is tied with Kentucky in the SEC play, and now 3 games back a second in Texas A&M. So that proves to me that I think the top 2 teams will be Bama and Texas A&M, with Tennessee and Kentucky behind them. Auburn 8-6, and shout out to Vandy 8-6 also in SEC play. But big win for Kentucky. We'll see them in the NCAA tournament this year. I could say with a lot of confidence. Kansas State. Remember what I was talking about them last episode? I was a little worried about them. They proved me wrong. No Caleb Grill for Iowa State hurts. They lose again. I dropped them down to 22. They're almost there. They're almost out. Now they've lost 3 of their last 4 games. Home game, they lost against Oklahoma State. They lost at West Virginia and at Kansas State. Now, coming on Tuesday, play at Texas. That's probably another loss, and they'll be out of my top 25. Then they go home against Oklahoma State, home against West Virginia, at Baylor to finish out the regular season. I'm a little worried about Iowa State. I think they could get back to that level. They're not fully healthy right now, which hurts. And I was very worried about Kansas State. Kansas State's 14th in my rankings. Good win for the Wildcats there. Good game from Marquise Noel. And Keontae Johnson's cooled off in the beginning of the year, but he's still looking like an all Big 12 player. And Kansas State got a much needed win at home against first team that's struggling, and they were as well. So one team needed that win. That one of those teams was going to get the win, and one of those teams, that one team was Kansas State. Texas survives an OT against Oklahoma. Oklahoma's a tough 13-14 team. They beat Alabama by a lot, so they know they have potential. It's just this Big 12 so hard to win games. And Sir'Jabari Rice, man, he's been huge in these last couple weeks. 24 in this one, and Texas holds on, and they are 7th in my rankings as of now. We saw Kansas. Let's just talk about this Kansas game. So Kansas versus Baylor was my most anticipated game. I think everyone was super excited for this one. And that first half, it was insane. Keontae George, I just tweeted Keontae George, because that was all to be said. He came out in that first half, had that dunk. That was a nasty dunk on agianst. Then hits a pull-up three. And then gets a 4-point play. I was like, oh my. He's on fire right now. The Georgia guards, Cryer, Flagler, and Keontae George were amazing. They combined for 57 of the 71 points for Baylor. They were just phenomenal. All three of them. And that's what I said going this game. They had the best guard trio, they had the best backcourt in the whole nation. And they're going to come out and carry this game. And we're going to see, because, Kansas does it a lot by committee. But it's Jalen Wilson usually is that guy, and then they have the other guys. One's going to need to step up. There in that first half, it was looking like it was all Baylor. They were going to come in with Ochai Agbaji in there. Christian Braun was there during the All-Star break. And it was good to see in that second half, Baylor couldn't stop Kansas. Jalen Wilson, 21. KJ Adams, 17. Grady Dick, 16. DeJuan Harris, 14, all in the second half. I mean, that's just amazing to see from a guy who's not really a shoot-first guy. He had a 9 assists in this one, and he's the engine of this team. He's a guy who but has the ball, runs up and down the floor, and looks for players to get involved there. 37 minutes from him in this one. And this Kansas team has the potential, not just has the potential, might be the favorite to win it all and go back-to-back. This team is not as good as last, I will say. They don't have a guy like Ochai Agbaji. They don't have a big man like David McCormick. But they have Jalen Wilson, who can, is probably equal to Ochai Agbaji. They play different games. And then Grady Dick is kind of like the Christian Braun, who can do everything. They still have DeJuan Harris. And KJ Adams, man, he can do that, run that short roll really well, make out of it. And he's super athletic there. And he gave the bigs problems. Flo Thamba only played 12 minutes in this one. And we saw that they tried to go for Lono off the bench, didn't really give him anything. They had to play a lot of Jonathan Tamatachua, and he's still getting back to his full strength. Kevin McCullough is kind of like that glue guy. Last year, kind of what Jalen Wilson was. He's such a good defender. And then, they still don't have the greatest bench production, but they're getting more minutes from Yesufu and Bobby Pettifor, which is nice to see. And this Kansas team's so good, right? And we saw in that second half, they can get hot. And of course, in Allen Fieldhouse, it's a hard place to win, but their offense was looking so good. DeJuan Harris penetrating, Grady Dick can shoot it, and Jalen Wilson 0-5-3 didn't matter. He got to the line, still at 21 in this one, and DeJuan Harris can score the ball, but also get his other teammates involved. Baylor, I dropped them to only one spot. I think they're number 6 in my rankings. Kansas is number 3. I still think these are the best 2 teams in the Big 12. Baylor just had a terrible second half. 55-26 in that second half. Kansas couldn't miss. They couldn't get any stops there. And I think the only thing about Baylor that worries me is they do have a weak, the center position is the weakness there. They could, and they don't have a great anchor on the D. But again, Jonathan Tamatachua is going to get healthy. Flo Thamba is still reliable. I still like this Baylor team, and the backcourt's just sensational. But Kansas is a team that can win it all. They can go back to back, which hasn't happened since Florida. And if it happens, it wouldn't be the most surprising thing ever because this Kansas team is that good. It was really good to see Mike Miles back in action, and we see the full potential of this TCU team. They're one by my top 25 because they went on 3-4 game losing streak, but with him back in the lineup, they dominated and shows that he's one of the best players in the country. For sure, one of the best teams in the one of the best players in the country, one of the best point guards in the country. He does everything for that team. Providence is heating up at the right time, up to 21 in my rankings. Croswell, Bryce Hopkins, Ed Cooley doing an amazing job there. Pitt, you were first place in the ACC for a couple days, and then you lose at Virginia Tech. That's a hard place to win at. Virginia lost there too. They're not going to be a tournament team this year, but they could make a little run the ACC tournament, and they play so good at home. They're just really bad on the road. Is Virginia Tech? But they have a solid team. They just didn't live up to potential this year, but they're still a team that can beat anyone, especially when they're in Blacksburg at home. Duke looked dominant against Syracuse there. Syracuse still can get a quad one win. This is a good team performance. Flipkowski, Lively looked really good. Jeremy Roach doing his thing. Duke's playing way better basketball recently. After that Miami loss, they're playing better. They should probably beat Virginia, and they're getting back to that level that they were, more in the beginning of the year. Texas A&M is going to be a tournament team. They're up to 3rd and 24 in my rankings. It's insane. They were what? I think they were 7-6 or 7-6-5 at one point in the season. Now they're 20-7. They're getting back to what they were thought to be in the beginning of the year, which is great to see. And remember last year they almost won the SEC tournament. I still think Missouri's a tournament team there. Kobe Brown's such a good player, but A&M is going to be is that second team in the SEC, and I honestly think they could be the actual second best team in there. I still think Tennessee on any given night can beat anyone. I still believe that, but we see that they're not consistent at all. And Texas A&M may be that second best team. Kentucky's still good. Missouri's still good, but I think Missouri's now lost 2 in a row there, and we see Texas A&M playing really good basketball recently. Alabama won by 49 against Georgia, so they like to blow out teams. And that's concerns me. I don't know if Alabama's a Final Four team. I don't know. We'll see when the bracket comes out, right? They were the number 1 overall seed in the I can't remember what they call it. The 16 release, the top 4 seeds. They were the number 1 overall seed. And they blow out teams or they can get blown out. Alabama hasn't played in a lot of close games this year because they shoot a lot of threes. And if they go in, then they can, blow teams out. Shout out to Louisville. Clemson's bad, but they're 19-8, but they're bad. Louisville won. That's their 4th win of the year, so congratulations to Louisville for getting that second ACC win of the year. They're playing better. They must beat Virginia early this year. Gonzaga holds on against Pepperdine. They held on against Pepperdine. Congratulations, Gonzaga. Timmy had 34, so shout out to Drew Timmy, first team All-America. I don't know if that's again, but it might be again. Michigan State couldn't get that win. I wish they did. But Hunter Dickinson played good, hit a big shot down the stretch there. And, Michigan State's going to be fighting to be in the tournament this year. They should be, but they could take some more losses and not get in there. No one's really talking about them not making it, but they definitely will be on the bubble. Nevada took a loss to Utah State. Utah State's a really good team at home, but you can look at their wins. They only beat teams at home, and they only beat teams in their conference. Nevada takes a tough loss. They dropped out of my top 25 there. But they definitely could still get in. Just right now, they're not playing great. Auburn's a team that I don't love this year. Penn State, I wish they could get in the tournament because I just want to see Jalen Pickett. Go into the NCAA tournament. They're probably not going to be there, but he is so good. He could be an All-American this year. He's probably the best player on the team that's not making the tournament. I think he's better than Armando Bacot, so... St. Mary survives. They got a big game next Saturday at Gonzaga, where game day is going to be. Everyone's excited for that. So that was really Saturday. Saturday just had a lot of good games, not a lot of, outstanding not upsets or, outcomes, but still a good day. And Sunday was really good. Purdue got the job done. Ohio State's not good, so they're kind of like LSU. They got off to a good start. Now they suck. And Zach Edey looked really good, 26 in this one, and almost won by 30, 27-point win there. In my home state, in North Carolina, I should have brought out my NC State shirt, but I didn't. But it didn't matter. We had a Jarkel Joyner outburst in Raleigh. And that second half for NC State was amazing. I mean, that first half, it was back and forth. Both North Carolina's turned the ball over a line. NC State was missing a lot of shots, but they got out in transition in that first half. And then the second half, we had DJ Burns and Jarkel Joyner kind of just take over that game down the stretch. And we saw Traquavion Smith wasn't amazing. Got kind of banged up in that second half and had to miss a couple possessions there. But it honestly just showed this NC State team has potential, and their backcourt is honestly probably the best in the ACC. It's close. The ACC has a lot of great backcourts. You got the backcourt of North Carolina, who was supposed to be one of the best in the nation. They're not that, but they still have the big names of Caleb Love and RJ Davis. Virginia has the best defensive backcourt maybe in the nation with K.A. Clark and Reese Beekman, but the offense production is not there. You have Miami's backcourt, Wong and Nigel Pack. That might be the best one, the way they're playing recently. And then NC State with Jarkel Joyner and Traquavion Smith. That's a backcourt that no one wants to go against because guess what? They're kind of like the North Carolina backcourt, but they might be better. Jarkel Joyner is no fear in him. The transfer from Ole Miss, the graduate guy, he took over that second half, had 29. This one, and DJ Burns. This dude, when you might look at him, you might think he's slow, you might think he's bad. He's a bigger dude, and he outplayed Armando Bacot really well. I mean, Bacot had 14 rebounds in this one, was really good on the offensive glass, but he was inefficient. 6 for 14 from the field, and DJ Burns was 9 for 15, 18 points in this one for the big man. And guess what? NC State's the best team in North Carolina, and I'm not afraid to say that. This team plays really tough. They're kind of like that. They're kind of like North Carolina of last year, where they have two guards that shoot the ball a lot and a good big man. I could see this team making a run in the tournament. If it is NC State, classic NC State team to do would probably just be losing, in the ACC tournament and making it hard being like a 10 seed. But this team has potential there. It was like that team that beat Villanova in that second round. What was that, 26, 17? I don't know. One of those years. They kind of have that same potential. They're in the 25 in my rankings right now. It was just great to see that. And Houston got a nice win over Memphis. No Kendrick Davis in that one. Actually, Memphis ends up covering, but Sass had a good game. Jawan Roberts is asserting himself as that best big on the team. And Houston got a win. So good for Houston there. They're number one in my rankings. I think they might be the national championship frontrunner. And two other kind of notable results was Maryland losing at Nebraska. Pinnacle Bank. Nebraska's better than last year. They're a better team than usual. Nebraska, Fred Hoiberg's going to be there next year. And I want to see them be successful because Nebraska's just, in my lifetime, Nebraska's never been really good at really anything. So we want to see this Cornhuskers get there one day. And at Northwestern, they're playing like the best team in the Big Ten right now. Beat Iowa by 20 at home. And is it Bo Buie? Is that his name? It's Boo Buie. Boo Buie. He is a beast. He's averaging 17 points this year. He's been turning up of recent. And watch for Northwestern make a run in the tournament. They could be a 6 seed, 5 seed type team. I got him 19th in my rankings. So that was the weekend. We can look at a couple games from Monday and Tuesday right now. I mean, it's kind of nice because I actually don't have school this whole week. I got like a midwinter break, but I think it's President's Day, so I don't think a lot of people have school today. But yeah, so on Wednesday, it might not be an early episode, though, because I'm out of town. And I'm coming back on Wednesday, so I'm leaving on Tuesday. So it's just like a one-night trip. So we'll see if I'll be able to make that early episode on Tuesday. And Friday, I'm not sure if I'm out of town on Friday, so we'll see. But when we get closer, I'll know. I love how Louisville's getting an ESPN game tonight. I mean, they're 18-point underdogs, but they're playing better. But they're not going to win. Oklahoma State at West Virginia is interesting. West Virginia has to win this game to keep any tournament hopes alive, while we see that Oklahoma State, they've lost now 2 in a row. If they can get a road win, that will probably put them in the tournament. Not for sure, but almost very likely. Not would be like a 70% chance if they win this game with a loss. I would put them at 50-50, especially depending on what Texas Tech does in these next 2 weeks. Kansas, and then the best game is at 9. It's Kansas at TCU. TCU, when last time they played, TCU destroyed Kansas on the road. Mike Miles back. Both teams coming off big wins. We'll see if Kansas wins this game. I might be saying they're the best team in the nation. If TCU wins this game, I'm going to say that Mike Miles is that dude. He is that dude. But this win would show that TCU has potential to be an Elite Eight team with Mike Miles back on the floor. They were really bad with them, but with them, they're looking like of course in that first game really good. And we'll see what they look like tonight at home in a huge matchup against Kansas for TCU. TCU would need a win there. Tuesday, Baylor at Kansas State. Baylor trying to avoid back-to-back losses. Kansas State trying to get back-to-back wins. And this one at home would be very nice in Kansas State. Their home team. Baylor looking like the second best team in the Big 12, in my opinion. Kansas State, I'm still worried about them. I'm wondering I will be interested in what that line will be when it comes out. It might be Kansas State -1, but I think Baylor's a better team, man. Miami has to go at Virginia Tech. That's a very interesting one because guess what? Virginia Tech's a really tough team to beat on the road. And Miami's playing like one of the best teams in the nation right now. Missouri is home against Mississippi State. Both those teams need to win to keep their tournament hopes, afloat. Tennessee at Texas Tech. Texas A&M is the best game. I'm not the best game, but that game is really the best SEC probably matchup of the night there. Tuesday looking like a stacked slate. And if Tennessee wants any chance of getting in the top two to finish second place in SEC, they're gonna have to win this one. And Texas A&M wins this game, I think that puts them on the national stage. I think they will be ranked when the new AP poll comes out in the next hour. It's probably gonna come out in the next hour, right? But that's probably a ranked matchup. Texas A&M at home. I want them to win this game. I love what Buzz Williams is doing there. He's done a great job after that slow start, and now they're looking like one of the best teams in the SEC, if probably the second best team there. Marquette's at Creighton. That's gonna be a tough game for Marquette. I have Marquette ranked 9th in the poll. They were underrated in that top 16 coming out. They were actually a 4 seed. I think they're arguably closer to a 2 than a 4, in my opinion. I think they're a 3. And Creighton was one of the teams that just missed it, apparently. A home win here would probably put them in. I have Creighton ranked 23rd there in my rankings. Indiana plays at Michigan State. Michigan State needs a win badly at home. We'll see if they can get it. That's a great matchup, too. That one's on ESPN. And then, of course, Longhorn Network, Iowa State at Texas. I expect Texas to win this game, and then Iowa State will probably be out of my rankings for the first time maybe ever. I've been doing this top 25 this year. And Arkansas got Nick Smith back. So that's very huge for Arkansas. I can't wait to see what his potential is and what the Arkansas could be. Remember, they were a top 10 team in the preseason, and then they fell off. But they're playing better basketball recent. They're probably going to be a 9-10 seed. And maybe they could get high if they play really good in the SEC tournament. So, yeah, that's for watching. I think this was a longer episode. A lot of action to cover. No school day, so I was really no rush. Thanks for watching. And this is the time of the year, end of the regular season. So if you're not watching now, if this is your first time, keep tuning in because we're going to be posting a lot more as the season winds down and conference tournaments start. And then, of course, March Madness. Thanks for watching. Peace.